A senior consultant I know spent 20 years deep in a highly technical specialty. Last month, she opened her laptop and watched a model execute her most valuable deliverable in exactly 90 seconds. It didn't produce a rough cut. It didn't provide a first draft. It produced the finished, client-ready product. That moment is coming for almost everyone reading the economic signals right now. While AI pulls the trigger, the actual decay started decades ago, built into the structural foundations of professional life. The vulnerability began the day you signed up to be a knowledge worker in the first place. This diagram illustrates a 40-year economic anomaly. For decades, the labor market paid a massive premium to people who processed information, even if those people bore zero downside risk. Knowledge and consequence moved upward together. Because highly specialized knowledge used to be scarce, companies couldn't distinguish the value of knowing things from the value of owning the results. Today, that connection is severed, with the value of consequence-free knowledge falling sharply. This explains the rapid hollowing out of the comfortable corporate middle. The roles disappearing first are those built entirely on translation, taking a requirement from one format, converting it, and passing it down the chain. Many professionals watch this happen and tell themselves their job is safe because it requires complex judgment. But clearing the bar of being more complex than a spreadsheet does not protect you from a model that costs pennies to run. 2 generations of professionals made the identical mistake. They confused being inside a lucrative market bottleneck with possessing a durable personal moat. To see the current bottleneck clearly, we have to borrow Eli Goldratt's theory of constraints, which states that every system has exactly one bottleneck at a time. In the 14th century, that bottleneck was land, controlled by the aristocracy. By the 18th century, land became a commodity. The new binding constraint was capital, the ability to finance the railroad or build the factory. By the late 20th century, capital became cheap, and knowledge looked scarce. Today, knowledge is cheap too. The standard advice is to abandon the office and start a company. Here is where I should tell you to take the leap and start a company. I am going to crash that plane instead. For most professionals, the founder fantasy ruins careers. The base rate of new businesses surviving 5 years is about 50%. Telling a mid-career engineer with a mortgage to abandon their craft and build a startup is statistically a catastrophic advice. This creates a paradox. If staying a knowledge worker guarantees obsolescence, but abandoning the craft for a startup is a financial disaster, therefore standard career advice has reached a dead end. The market is currently liquidating consequence-free work, those roles where you get paid to offer opinions that nobody can ever actually check. What remains is the consequence premium. The market is aggressively charging rent to anyone who carries no downside risk for their decisions. This timeline models the economic paths of 2 identical tax lawyers. Lawyer A works at a massive firm, writing memos shielded by senior partners. Lawyer B takes equity in startups and signs opinion letters in her own name. 10 years ago, their compensation was nearly identical. Today, Lawyer A's real income is flat. Lawyer B's bends upward. Same craft, same knowledge, but a totally different exposure. The market no longer pays for the legal knowledge. It pays for the person holding the bag when the advice is wrong. You see the exact same premium captured by engineers who bet their reputations on specific architectures, salespeople working on commission, or traders eating their own losses. These professionals thrive because their economic value flows directly from decisions they personally make and absorb. A foreign labor market cannot do that, and an artificial intelligence cannot do that. This leads to a single, difficult directive. Stop selling insights. Start selling outcomes. You can stay technical. You can even stay inside a corporate structure. But you have to move yourself off the processing side of the wall and onto the side where the consequences land on you. To figure out your true exposure, start with the substitution test. If you were replaced tomorrow by a competent generalist armed with current AI models, how many of your deliverables would survive a 30-day handover? Next, run the consequence inventory and the asymmetry check. Look back at the last quarter and list the decisions you truly owned. If your downside for being wrong was nothing more than a lack of praise, you are a tourist in your own career. Finally, take the one thing challenge. Find a single decision in the next 90 days to attach your name to. Quote a fixed price. Originate a client. Put yourself in a position where you will fail publicly if it goes wrong. Knowledge is a necessary tool, but it was never the moat. Your moat has always been your willingness to be wrong in public.